Sure we can. Smoke, guys. Remember this? Hi guys, this is Mattias, and yes, the drama is real. The new time to kill that was introduced a few days before I made this video has upset a lot of the people that are active on a variety of forums, especially, I guess, Reddit. Now, the fact that the game has not sold anywhere near as good as DICE and EA would have hoped may be one of the reasons to why DICE has made so many drastic changes in hope to bring back some of their lost player base. Now, on a personal level, I think there are far more important things that DICE should put their focus on, and what especially comes to mind are the consistent issues that we've had to deal with since long before the launch of Battlefield 5. One of the things is, of course, getting stuck on a bunch of things. The introduction to a bunch of irritating and only somewhat working animations are just a few of the things that are far more important to me. My squad is here. Hello, boys! So now, with a few slight variations, the changes that was made was that almost all the weapons, when it comes to the primary weapons, now requires one more bullet to kill a full health player with body shots. There are of course a little bit more to it than that, but basically that's what it's all about. And not only are people very upset over the fact that the time to kill is now longer, but also that this particular change affects low fire rate weapons a lot more than high fire rate weapons. At the time, right after this change, I was mostly focusing on the Somi for the medic class and the M1A1 carbine for the assault class, and to me personally, these changes didn't have that much of a negative effect. These are both high fire rate weapons, and I'm pretty sure that for players that were focusing on, let's say, the MP40 of the medic class or the Gewehr 43 of the assault class, this change would be much more frustrating.
Okay. 3 of them. Well, I just dropped a grenade and ran. Got 2, but didn't quite work.
So now what's important to understand is that whatever you think about the time to kill patch or the time to kill changes, there are going to be more changes and several of them in the near future. DICE have announced that this initial change is not optimal. They're looking through data and they're going to adjust the changes based on what they find. What I find really strange about the last couple of announcements from DICE, including this patch, is the lack of a buff to medic weapons. Maybe the community feels that medic is strong enough as it is, and even though the medic class is far from my most played class, there are times when I can do pretty good, at least on some maps, as a medic. I got 2 of them, but one guy was able to sneak up there, where the resupply is. Oh, he's there. Finally got him. Now, some of you guys might be thinking that I'm exaggerating when I'm talking about the drama and threads on Reddit, but let's have an actual look at what it looks like if you just open the Battlefield 5 Reddit page. If we focus on, like, let's say, the top 15, the top 20 most upvoted topics, about 3/4 of those are about the time to kill. Now, what you also see in these discussions is TTD, and that means time to death, which is in some way very related, or should I say, should be related. Now, what we normally would want to believe about a game is that the time it takes for you to be killed by a player shooting you should take the same amount of time that it takes for him to kill you. But because of something called netcode, it doesn't. Many times you will experience that you just die instantly from just a short burst of bullets, while in fact it took a lot longer for the guy shooting you from the first bullet that hit to the last bullet that actually killed you compared to what it looked like on your end. Now, this is a problem that DICE have been plagued by for many years. And for whatever reason, I don't really know why, but the discussions about basically the same thing have a tendency to just shift in terms of how people express it. Oh, LMG in the window.
Oh, yeah, the red building.
Yeah. Now, me, on a personal level, I've been disappointed with a lot of things with Battlefield 5, but time to kill has not been a major issue. Instead, I'm trying to come to terms with that we have a very different Battlefield game now than what we've had in the past. This game is very unique in many ways. I don't really like it personally, a lot of the things that are unique about Battlefield 5, but I am adapting to it. I'm starting to appreciate it more and more, and I'm coming to terms with that this is what we have at the moment. Funny as it is, during this time when everyone was so upset about the attempt to kill or time to death or whatever people are upset about, I was mostly focusing on trying to get my last golden part of the Some. And when I did that, I discovered another thing that really bothered me, and that had nothing to do with time to kill or time to death. Instead, what I discovered was that when you hipfire with this weapon, which is what the assignment was about, getting hipfire kills in objective areas, now what happens when you hipfire with this weapon is that many times the recoil kicks up in a way that the actual model of the weapon blocks your view, so you can't see your enemy if you have your enemy perfectly in line of sight. And I've never seen this in any other game before. Those smoke grenades end up in a very weird position sometimes when you shoot them in the ground. Oh wow! They blocked me from getting in, so I died! Motherfuckers! You're supposed to be my friends! Because this is a good flag for me to get hipfire points, maybe. Or hipfire kills.
I got the two guys that had the M60.
Seriously, this is like the worst game to hipfire in ever. I can't see the enemy if I start hipfiring. Once the recoil is at a certain point, it hinders you to see your enemy. Have you ever seen this in any game?
Not really.
See, the gun is in front of my... It's actually quite funny. This bug is so stupid, it's actually funny.
To the right, Matti, to the right.
Oh, I'm out! No, I was out! Okay. That was a good call. Now, to avoid misunderstandings, let me show you again in slow motion. See how the model of the gun actually moves over the crosshair, which is, you know, where your opponent should be if you're trying to kill them. And this is the kind of issue that we should be discussing, in my opinion, in a game that is new, when we have a new bug, which, you know, can happen. We should be saying to DICE, hey, there's a new bug here that we've never seen before. The model of the gun actually blocks the view from your opponent when you're trying to shoot them while hip-firing. Instead, what we are doing is that we're discussing something that we were discussing in Battlefield 3, meaning the netcode. The time to death is shorter than the time to kill. And for the most part, we have given up on things that we reported to DICE in the alpha of Battlefield 1, meaning that the animations when you jump over walls doesn't really work as intended, but despite nothing being done to this whatsoever in over 2 years, now we're focusing on completely different issues despite this old issue not being resolved at all. Now, funny as it is, despite all the drama and despite all the bugs and problems, I've actually come to appreciate Battlefield 5 more and more by the day. And if you have never tried to work together as a team with people that you know or people that you at least got to know through the game, then try it. If Battlefield 5 feels more frustrating and it feels more hopeless trying to solo it than it did in previous titles, try to find a community or create a community with people that want to play in a way that is similar to you. So now the last thing that I want to mention before I end the post commenting is that DICE did fix one thing with this latest update, and that was if the resupply station for tanks was broken, it couldn't be rebuilt again. But now this is resolved, and you will see that in just a moment here. My name is Mattias, and I want to thank you all for watching. Okay, this was fixed.
We have lost objective Emil.
First aid for you, soldier.
We have taken objective Charlie. Be aware that we have lost objective Easy. Know that we have lost objective Dog.
Shit.